And now let me introduce Madam Consul General of the Republic of Poland in New York, Urszula Gacek.
I always have to adjust the microphone. Mateusz is substantially taller than myself. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to this finally spring-like evening to this beautiful building here on Jan Karski Corner, which is the home of the Polish Consulate of the Republic of Poland in New York. As the Consul General, I'm happy to welcome you all, but in particular, I would like to mention one of the greatest pianists in the history of the United States, the legendary Byron Janis. Welcome. Thank you, sir. It's a rare privilege and an honor to have you here as our special VIP guest. But also today's ceremony will be led by Bonnie Barrett, the director of Yamaha's Artistic Services in New York, with whom it's been a great pleasure to work. Miss Barrett, welcome. Okay. I will have a few words to say later on in the evening about our special guest, but for now I would like to give the floor to you, Miss Barrett, so you could tell us something about what special program that we have prepared together with Yamaha for this evening. So, Miss Barrett, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Bonnie Barrett. I am the director of Yamaha Artist Services here in New York City. I'm delighted to be here with you tonight as we celebrate the music of one of the greatest composers in the history of Poland, Frédéric Chopin, and one of the greatest pianists in the history of the United States, the legendary Byron Janis. And we're going to be exploring the extraordinary ways their lives and music intersect. But first, I want to express my sincere thanks to the Consulate General of the Republic of Poland in New York, especially Consul General Urszula Gacek, Deputy Consul Stasiak Matus, Vice Consul Alicia Tunk, Chief Administration and Finance, and I apologize for my terrible pronunciation, Kaczmarek Iwona, and especially to Ivana for their efforts to make tonight's programs possible. We are proud of the long partnership between Yamaha Artist Services and the Polish Consulate. Pleased that one of our beautiful pianos has a home here in this glorious space. If you've never been to this gorgeous room before, you're in for a real treat. I can't think of a more appropriate setting for a program such as this one. I also want to thank my wonderful colleagues at Yamaha Artist Services, including our chief concert technician, Nori Soga, who makes our pianos sound so amazing, as well as Hilary Jansen, who did a lot of work behind the scenes to make tonight's program possible, Makia Matsumura, and our graphic design and technical director, Aaron Ross. Also here with us tonight from Yamaha's corporate offices in California is our Vice President of Yamaha's keyboard division, Mr. Paul Calvin, and also our local representative, Ms. Sarah Faust from Faust Harrison Pianos, who represents Yamaha so beautifully in the New York City area. Byron Janis occupies a unique position in the music world as a consummate musician, as a Yamaha artist, as a composer, humanitarian, advocate, and teacher. He has been honored for many of those accomplishments, with the list of his accolades growing longer each year. Celebrating his 87th birthday later this month, the same birthday month as Chopin, Byron continues to inspire all of us with his endless curiosity, his thoughtfulness, and his wisdom. Tonight, we will have the rare privilege to shine the spotlight on one of the defining characteristics of Byron's lifelong career and passion, the music of Frédéric Chopin. To many music lovers, Byron Janis perfectly represents the struggles and strengths of being an artist in the greatest of romantic traditions. His playing has been noted for its nuances, its colors, its poetry. He has been quoted as saying that pianists should make the piano sound like a human voice. The New York Times once remarked about Byron, on stage, Mr. Janis's appearance seems to bring out the protective instinct in the female concertgoer, not unlike Chopin himself. After he plays a Chopin nocturne, one half expects to see Georges Sand come out to carry him off to her Mediterranean hideaway. Maria, I wonder what you think about that. Richard Dyer of the Boston Globe remarked, his inspiring story was something you could hear in his playing. Chopin poured a life racked by disease into some of the saddest music ever written, and also some of the most joyful. Byron Janis knows where Chopin's music was coming from. But for Byron Janis, Chopin's own words, as well as his music, inspired him. Frédéric Chopin wrote, Bach is like an astronomer who, with the help of ciphers, finds the most wonderful stars. Beethoven infuses the universe with the power of his spirit. I do not climb so high. A long time ago, I decided that my universe would be the soul and heart of man. Upon reflection of those words, Byron Janis wrote, Chopin knew that climbing higher was not the only way to reach heaven. Tonight we'll begin our evening and our little slice of heaven by hearing 5 extraordinary and accomplished pianists from all parts of the world, all of whom have been directly influenced, coached, or mentored by Byron Janis in their explorations of music and especially of Frédéric Chopin. First is Zhuo Wang, a gifted Chinese pianist who captured the gold medal of the Santander International Piano Competition. He has performed at leading concert halls and with major symphonies all over the world, including Carnegie Hall, Wigmore Hall, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and the Vienna Chamber Orchestra, among others. Lisa Yui, a Yamaha artist and native of Canada, is well known as a concert pianist, lecturer, teacher, author, and musical director. Along with engagements on major international stages and as soloist with orchestras, she has also been heard on many national radio broadcasts in the US and Canada and Japan. She's a pioneering educator, a concert pianist, and she has been at the forefront of introducing Yamaha's Disclavier Remote Live and remote lesson piano technologies. Maxence Pilchin, born in Belgium, has been seen and heard on television and radio broadcasts throughout Europe, Asia, and America. He has been cited for many of his outstanding performances, including the Nohant Chopin Festival and the Saffron Foundation, just to name a few. Miriam Conti, the distinguished Argentinian-born pianist, is a prolific and acclaimed recording artist, an educator, impresario, and pianist. She was recently honored as one of 8 New York Latinas recognized for their contributions to arts and culture on International Women's Day. And she'll be performing at the Domena Center on Saturday, I think, right? Nimrod David Pfeffer, born and raised in Israel, is gaining widespread recognition as a conductor as well as a pianist. Conducting credits of his include the Juilliard Orchestra at Alice Tully Hall, the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra, and piano performances at Carnegie Hall, the Met Opera, and the Israel Philharmonic, among others. So please, first, let's welcome to the piano Mr. Zhuo Wang.
Bonnie asked me to say something. I just feel so blessed that I can be one part of this wonderful night, and I would be very grateful to Mr. Janis because I've been studying with him for 5 years, I think. At the very beginning, I think he, as a great man, as a great musician, he almost revolutionized my pianism and my musicality because it is him that let me know how to speak, not just playing, to speak on this wonderful instrument. I would say thank you, Ms. Janis.
There are so many mics. I feel compelled to sing a song or something. I was 20 years old when I studied with Mr. Janis at the Manhattan School of Music, and which was 5 years ago, of course, no. But one thing, if there's one regret in my life, it's that I was not older when I started to study with Mr. Janis, because now I think back on all these things that he's taught me, and not only about the music, which was mind-blowing, the sensitivity to sound and the details and space that I never knew existed at that point. But I was fortunate enough to be able to also listen to some recording sessions, and how he dealt with the acoustics of a room and the detail in which that never really escaped him was really a great impact to a young student. And I'm rather envious of all these other young students who are here who could experience all these all over again. So thank you so much. I continue to learn from you, and I never really had the opportunity to thank you after my studies there, but I'm deeply grateful and I'm deeply honored to be part of this celebration. Congratulations.
I will start speaking. Don't worry, I'm French. I will not speak too much. It will be difficult, but I will do my best. I would like to thank you. This is true, what you just told to everyone. When you start to study with Byron Janis, it's not just studying a couple of years, it's studying a whole life. And when you have the chance to play and to grow up in music, you remember you have all the time a voice who is giving you an advice, another one, and you start to understand it's a long way, not for one advice, it's a gift for a lifetime. So I really enjoy what you will learn with Byron Janis. I still learn with him now when I play for him. And when I met him for the first time, I thought when Maestro Janis told me, I heard you want to play for me, I really thought it was a joke, because he was my favorite pianist, and I was very honored to go to see him. So I have learned a lot, and that's true too. I didn't have the occasion in public to say thank you, Maestro, thank you so much. I will not be long, I promise, but it was difficult for me because we asked for me to play the prelude, so in 7 minutes it's quite difficult to play prelude. I can play fast, but not that fast. And I had to choose, because preludes of Chopin is lots of universe, atmosphere, so I had to choose a couple of them, and I will try to choose different things Chopin lived there with his sensibility. So I will maybe change a couple of them, but don't worry about the timing.
Thank you. I love the mazurka since I was this little. I had a Polish teacher in Argentina, so a wonderful teacher. And then when I had the opportunity to study with Maestro Janis, I said, now I'm going to study all the mazurkas, all 58. So we went through all the mazurkas. But let me tell you just a quick story with me. The first lesson that I had with him about more than 10 years ago, and he might not remember this, but it was a lesson for me for the whole life. I remember I brought him a Polonaise fantasy, and and we spent literally 45 minutes on 3 notes. All the variations, what you could do from one note to the next and coming back, how much time, rubato, if you go faster, if you go slower. It was the lesson of, years. I mean, all my years at Juilliard, I never did that. So that was a big thing for me. And the one word that still sticks in my head, and when we talk, is color. Color, color, color. He says, you have to color here. And having a father as a painter, I should know better, but this is a very hard instrument to color. But I want to thank you, Maestro, because you meant so much for my career, my pianism, and of course, there's time to grow all the time. And thank you for your labor, everything, and for you.
have to say, to speak about Byron Janis is difficult. I wrote in the little quote that we were asked to write what kind of an amazing opportunity it was for me to meet him for the first time after admiring so much as a boy. And everything that everyone said before me is so true about his generosity, his artistry, his colors. But I have something that Mr. Janis told me in one of my first meetings with him that I keep thinking about very often, actually. And that is, he said, you know, I'm spending a lot of time with you, and really put the effort so that it's worthwhile. And I said, Mr. Janis, I'll do my best. And he said, you can do better than that. so somehow it stayed with me. And I have to say that in those interactions that we had, that I heard him play and I heard him talk about music, there was something very similar to something that was mentioned here before. It was some of the most remarkable human experiences of my life. And it wasn't a feeling really that I'm ascending anywhere, but a feeling that I'm diving inside. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Janis.
What Mr. Janis wanted to make sure that we mentioned is that Mr. Pfeffer is the assistant conductor to James Levine at the Metropolitan Opera, which I may have left off of the introduction, but I think is in your program. So, could we please have another round of applause for these extraordinary musicians? When we began to think about how we could possibly put tonight's program together, it was really very challenging and very difficult because there's really no end, no limit to the number of pianists and, in fact, musicians who would want to come forth and talk about how Byron Janis influenced their music and their career, whether it was through recordings or through teaching or experiencing a live performance. And so it was really just a challenge to kind of narrow it down. But I can tell you from having talked to so many musicians over a very long career that we could easily fill a book with testimonials and stories and inspirations of how this man has touched so many lives. And so with that, we thought that the next best thing would be to actually hear a little bit of words of wisdom from the man himself. So Byron, I'd like to invite you up to the table here.